Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I didn't go out of my way to pick on Texas today. It just so happened that I come across at least, I picked three stories here. This started yesterday. I started coming across these stories from Texas. And that's what this video is about. I picked three stories. Well, we'll say two stories, and the last one's a video of things going on in Texas right now. And I'm from Connecticut. I spent my whole life here in this little blue state of Connecticut. And looking at what's going on in Texas right now, it looks like a different country to me from my perspective. I don't know what I'm going to call this video. I want to call it why I will never, ever, till the day I die, set one foot in Texas. Yeah, I'm sure I don't want to spin this the wrong way. I'm sure there's a lot of good people in Texas, but I'm going to read you these stories. The three links will be right down below. I'll put them in the order that I'm going to talk to you about them in. And give me your opinion on this, especially if you're from Texas. Please let me hear, if you're a liberal or a Democrat from Texas, how do you deal with this stuff? Okay, the first story is probably the one I'm going to have to watch my wording the most. I'm going to call it the procedure that was outlawed in Texas. I think we all know what I'm talking about. And I can't wrap my mind around this. This to me makes the Attorney General Ken Paxton look like some kind of super villain to me. Okay, this woman, Katie Cox, 31 years old. She's 20 weeks pregnant. And the doctors have determined that she has a condition where if she goes through with the pregnancy, there's a very, very large chance that the fetus will never survive. All right. On top of that, there's a good chance that she will not survive. And then the third thing is, if she goes through with this, there's a good chance that she will never be able to have a pregnancy after this, that it will damage. There'll be situations where she will not, if she continues with this pregnancy, it will endanger her life. There's a good chance that the fetus won't survive, almost 99% chance the fetus will not survive. And she won't be able to have any, and she desperately wants children. Let me say that. She desperately wants children, but this is the situation she's in right now. And doctors have confirmed this. This is doctors and everything. And the Texas Supreme Court, there was a little holdup with her stopping this pregnancy. And the Texas Supreme Court gave her a go-ahead. And then Attorney Ken Paxton jumped in and stopped it, put a hold on everything. This is just in the last day this has happened. And he is actually threatening any doctor that comes near this woman with jail if they provide this procedure for her. Let me explain this again. So they're going to force this woman, Ken Paxton in particular, is going to force this woman to go through with this procedure, knowing full well that this fetus will never survive. It's a good chance that this woman will never be able to have children in the future. So what is the good that he is doing here? He's doing this what? Because, babies. This woman wants to have a baby, but what he is doing is preventing her in the long term from doing that. Not to mention endangering her life. The link will be right down below. This just happened in the last day where the Attorney General jumped in because the Texas Supreme Court gave the go-ahead. There was a battle whether she could have this procedure because her life is in danger. And not to mention there's almost no chance of survivability for the fetus. And she won't be able to have kids in the future. And the Texas Supreme Court gave the go-ahead, and he jumped in. And not only did he jump in, but he's threatening doctors with jail if they come near this woman. To me, this looks... And then I hear people say, oh, Joe Biden is taking away our rights. He's a fascist. Look what's going on in the red state of Texas. You're telling me this isn't taking away this woman's rights? The rights for her to do what she wants with her body. The rights with her to not go through this horrific whole process that she knows is going to end badly. Plus the right for her to have children in the future. This blows my mind. So the link will be down below. I hope I can say all this on my monetized channel. Let me move on to the next story. This story just popped up today. This woman who considers herself a self-styled amateur historian. This woman Michelle Haas, has written a book where she refuted the story of a person that survived slavery. The person, let me give you, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. There's a historical plantation, the Varner Hog Plantation in Texas, and this amateur historian, white woman / author, visited there, and she did not like them. She didn't think the books were right. So the Texas Historical Commission pulled 24 books written by slaves because she didn't think they were accurate from her white perspective. And one of these books, let's see, there's Remembering Days of Sorrow. Their slave narratives. That's one of the stories. That's one of the books she had removed. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Roots by Alex Haley. She had Roots by Alex Haley removed, and they removed it from this plantation because she doesn't think it gives the right perspective. 24 books pulled out of this plantation because she thinks it gives it doesn't give there's too much of this is her excuse, this is her reasoning. There's too much of a perspective from the slaves perspective, and there's not enough perspective from the white people that lived in the big house, the slave owners. That's her complaint. Let's hear the other side of the story, the people that used the whips and chains and beatings and all and stuff I can't even say here. Let's hear their side of the story. Yeah, Alex Haley. The book by Alex Haley, Roots. She had it. What is going on in the state of Texas? I can't believe this is America. This would, Connecticut's got its faults, man, but I can't. I would die of shock if this ever happened in the state of Connecticut. I will never set foot in the state of Texas. All right, now the third one, it's a video, okay? And let me try, I've watched this video about over a dozen times because I want to get I want to get as good of an understanding of what's going on in this video as possible. It's from Karens of Reddit. And I believe that the white older man is the Karen in this case. Okay, this is at a Texas Longhorns, and the video opens up where there's a black woman that's very upset. She's going into the Texas it's a restaurant. And there's an older white guy, probably in his late 60s, early 70s, blocking her, his back's facing the camera. And he's got his hands in his pocket, and he's I do not like, I've told you before, if somebody gets in my personal space, I headbutt, man. I'll tell you straight up. If somebody, I don't play that game, that pushing game, or when somebody gets right in my, you see two guys face to face, I don't play that game. If somebody puts their face here, I'm gonna freaking, all right. Anyway, so he's right in her face, and I'm listening to the black woman is saying, "Get out of my face, get out of." And she's telling him over and over again. She's saying she's had it with these Caucasian people doing this kind of thing. And I listened to what she said, and she says that this older white gentleman was going in with his wife. He told his wife to go find a seat. And then he turned around and confronted this black woman and got in her way outside the restaurant. That's the situation as I understand it. Why he sent his wife in to find a seat while he turned around and confronted and blocked this African American lady from going in the restaurant, I don't know. She tells him, she asks him, she warns him, she threatens him 24 times. Get out of my face. And he's this close to her, leaning in, hands in his pockets. You can't really quite hear what he's saying. And then he moves in even closer, and she, from my perspective, she pushed him or struck him first. Now I hear that there's a person that's filming this, because then after she does that, he falls backwards a bit. He comes back, and then he strikes her. And then right then you hear the person holding the camera go, "I'm filming this. I saw him. He hit her first." And I'm being totally honest the way I saw this. I mean, he was antagonizing her. He was blocking her way to get into the restaurant. And and he was in her face, and she warned him at least a dozen times to back away, at least a dozen times to get out of her face. If that were me, I would have never even let it get that far if this guy got in my face. And from what I saw, she reached out first, and then he took a thumping. Because she's like, oh no, hell no, this is not going to happen. After he laid a hand on her, and he goes down, man. He reaches out, strikes her, and then he starts hauling butt into the restaurant. And she's like, no, man. And he goes down, he hits his head like on a mailbox or something, and then she starts dragging him back out of the restaurant, because she is not having it. She said she has had it with this. And you know what? And after reading, like, this Michelle Haas, this self-styled Caucasian historian, saying that she wants to hear what went on in the big slave owner's house, you know, I can understand that she's had her fill of these people. You know what? I'm going to include another video under this. And I don't know if this is from Texas. I see palm trees in the background, and I see the roofing looks like something out of the Southwest. I was trying to determine it from the background where this video happened. So there's going to be a fourth video down below. And it's a black man standing in his driveway. And this white woman comes up and starts asking him, what are you doing? And he says, I'm standing in my driveway. What are you doing? And she says, no, what are you doing here? You know, and she seems like she's got a buzz. And she's like, yeah, you're doing something here, you know. And he's like, yeah, I'm standing in my driveway, and you should be standing in your driveway, you know. And he's standing in his driveway, and she's like, no, you're doing something. You're not supposed to. You know, what are you doing? Unbelievable. And then then the curse words come out a little bit, and they throw some F-bombs, and she marches off on her merry way pounds her way back, her Karen way back to her house. So I'm gonna include that. The only reason I wasn't gonna include that, I want to give some context to the third video about how this black woman was saying she's had it with these Caucasian people doing this stuff, and I'm putting the fourth video in to see a good example of what she's talking about. Although the fourth video, the fourth link down below, the second video, I don't know specifically if it's from Texas. It looks like it's from somewhere in the Southwest. All right. What is going on in Texas? I guarantee, I'm sure there's a lot of good people. I'm sure there's a lot of good, kind-hearted people with empathy, people that care about other people in Texas. I don't want to paint it like that, but as long as this state is being run by people like Ken Paxton, Attorney General Ken Paxton, man, I will never set foot in the state of Texas. They don't want a liberal like me down there anyway, so we'll both be happy. It's like two different countries. Links will be down below. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Sunday.